What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. And after I enjoyed doing the first part of this series, I decided why not do a second part, because TikTok is full of a bunch of dumb shit, including bad football takes. I do think the takes I have in this video are actually worse than the takes I had in the first video. And I also just want to say, like I said in the first video as well, I mean no disrespect to these creators whatsoever. I just simply disagree with their football takes. It doesn't mean I don't like them. It doesn't mean I'm calling them dumb. It just means I disagree with them. It's as simple as that. So nothing in this video should be taken on a personal level. If you want to go check out some of these creators, their links to their TikToks will be down in the description below. Before we hop into it, you guys know the drill around here. Mott's applesauce. If you're ever hungry, thirsty, whatever it might be, Mott's applesauce will satisfy whatever satisfaction you need to satisfy. You have the caveman guarantee. I promise it will never fail you. Okie dokie. So I got 3 different TikTok takes that I'm going to be talking about today. I am going to go into decent depth talking about why I disagree with each of these takes. And the first take we're talking about is from a TikToker that you might remember from the first episode. Yes, this guy has made it twice. He's 2 for 2. You can say that me and this guy certainly disagree on a lot of different things, but when I saw this TikTok, I just had to include it. I understand that he already made the first one, but once I saw this, I'm like, oh my god, I have to include this in this video, because this take, it really bothered me. It truly did.
So in Madden 22, they're going to try to incorporate momentum. And if you're new around here, I think the concept of momentum is totally BS. I think it's a synonym for excitement. I think it's a cliche that announcers use because they don't know what adjustments got made, so they just chalk it up to momentum whenever there's a swing. If anything, momentum works in the opposite way, and teams that just get scored on, or teams that just fumble the ball, get berated by their coaches, and then they go out with either better ball security, or they're more aggressive and more angry and more likely to score on the following drive, in my opinion. And the fact that you need to add momentum to a game kind of tells me that it doesn't exist anyway.
So as you just witnessed, my guy Theo Ash apparently doesn't believe in the idea of momentum. I didn't even know these type of people existed. Like, I didn't realize there were people in the sports world that just don't believe in the concept of momentum. I thought this was something that everybody unanimously knew was a thing. Like, it can't be proven physically or on a stat sheet, but everybody knows it's a thing. Everybody's felt it before. But I guess my guy Theo's a different breed. Like, momentum? That shit ain't a thing to him. That shit don't exist. That's just a concept announcers use when they don't know what the hell's going on, apparently. I understand that this isn't a football or an NFL take particularly, but I just had to include it in this video because it really pissed me off. I can't lie. And when I first watched this TikTok, I got pretty upset because I thought it was another creator just spewing a bunch of bullshit to try and get his creators to jump on this idea that he's making sound logical, and he's basically doing it for attention. And, you know, that's kind of what TikTok is all about, trying to create trends, trying to create your own ideas that people will jump on. And I thought that's exactly what this was, but I think Theo just, for some reason, doesn't believe in mobile. I just can't believe it's a concept that people don't believe in this shit. But because I don't want to yell like an angry crackhead into my camera, I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to give you my opinion in a very civilized manner in this video as to why I disagree with this just ridiculous take. And I do want to start off by saying I give Theo the benefit of the doubt just a little bit, because I think in all of sports, football is one of the sports that momentum necessarily doesn't impact the game as much as other sports. And my reasoning for that is because there are a ton of stoppages in football, right? The game is not played at a constant rate. One of the main ways to slow down an opposing team's momentum is by getting the game itself to slow down, by getting some stoppages, by getting some whistles, getting the atmosphere to level out to what it was before. And in a game like football, that kind of already happens by itself, just by the nature of the game, because of all of the whistles. The game isn't being played at a constant pace. So I can understand why in football momentum might not be as much of a thing in comparison to other sports, but nevertheless, I do think it still exists in football. I'm giving Theo the benefit of the doubt. I still think it exists in football, but I guess I can see where he's coming from. But football wasn't the only sport that he was talking about when mentioning momentum. He was talking about all sports in general. He was talking about the concept of momentum in every single sport, not just football, and that was proven by looking in the comment section. He used basketball as one of his examples, and basketball is a game where momentum is so prevalent. You can absolutely feel momentum in a game like basketball. When you're going up and down, back and forth down the court, you can feel momentum shifts. When one play happens, it's going right back the other way, fast in your face, and another big play is going to happen right after that. You can just feel momentum in a game like basketball because it's so fast at a constant rate. You can't tell me momentum doesn't exist in basketball. That is ridiculous. And the same thing with like hockey, for example. It's back and forth. One big play happens at one end. You can feel the momentum coming back the other way. You can feel a team that has a lot of offensive zone possession time. You can feel them having all of the momentum at one point in a game. It just all comes together collectively in a game that does not stop as often as football. Like I said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt when talking about football, but he isn't just talking about football. He's talking about all sports, and that's where I have to draw the line. That's where this take made the video. Right there, when I looked in the comment section and realized he was talking about all sports, I'm like, yeah, this is one of the worst takes I've ever seen. It's going in the video. He also mentions how EA wouldn't have to implement momentum into their Madden game if momentum was already a thing, and that would make complete sense, but I know for a fact that if you have ever played Madden, if you've ever played an electronic arts sports video game once in your life, you would know that momentum exists in Madden. I can promise you that. They're just implementing this idea of momentum to make it seem like they're improving their game, but I promise you, momentum exists in EA video games. Like, that is a guarantee. You just know that if you're loading into a game of Madden and you return the kickoff and you get hit sticked and the opponent takes it in for a fumble 6 right off the kickoff, you're like, yep, that's it. This ain't my game. You know your shit's over. You know you might as well pack it up and quit right then and there, even though the game just started, because you just know that is not going to go your way that game. Madden, it exists in Madden. I don't care what anybody has to say. You can write that off as Madden bullshit. You can write that off as EA bullshit, but I think it's just their version of momentum. It's just EA being a bunch of bullshit. You know this shit exists in Madden. I'm sorry for swearing so much, but it exists in Madden. It exists in electronic arts sports video games. I promise you that. I don't think he's ever played one. Okay, so that's enough of that. Let's move on to take number 2, which comes from a TikTok creator by the name of Fantasy Football AZ. Right before I dive into this TikTok, I just want to say that this guy is actually a Josh Allen supporter, so I'm not going to jump down his throat as hard as I just did Theo's, because I disagree with Theo a lot. I disagree with this TikTok a lot, but he's a Josh Allen fan, so I'll cut him some slack.
Yes, I definitely can't think of 10 better quarterbacks that I would rather have than Dak Prescott, and here they are. Those are 10 quarterbacks that I'd rather have than Dak Prescott, and none of those are a stretch, and if you think they are, I'm going to be honest, you're wrong.
Anyway, he talks about 10 quarterbacks that he would take over Dak Prescott. Yeah, despite him being a Josh Allen fan, this is a massive miss. First off, who in the bloody hell, who in their right mind is taking Kyler Murray over Dak Prescott at this point in their careers? Like, I don't think anybody. The second quarterback that I have a problem with on this list is Justin Herbert. I am the first one to admit that I think he's going to have a fantastic NFL career. I truly am one of his biggest supporters. I really think Justin Herbert is going to be a fantastic quarterback in this league, but that's just how I think his future is going to go. That doesn't mean that's actually what is going to happen. He only has a singular year under his belt, and I understand it was an excellent rookie year. I understand that. But to put Justin Herbert over Dak Prescott is just you simply thinking he's going to have a good career in the near future, not knowing he's going to have a good career in the near future. Whereas with Dak Prescott, he's had year in and year out of good success on the football field. We already know that. So you can't put somebody that's only had one good year of football over another guy that's had multiple good years of football. Like, I just don't understand that concept. Maybe in the near future you can make this argument, but I hate when people put rookies, kids that have one good year, over other established veterans that have had multiple good years. I hate that. And people do it with Justin Jefferson constantly. Justin Jefferson is a perfect example of this. I get Justin Jefferson has a bright future. He's going to be a great NFL wide receiver, but to put him in your top 10 already, I hate that. I just think it's beyond disrespectful to be putting rookies that had one good year over these other established, very good veteran wide receivers or quarterbacks in our case here. I just think that's extremely disrespectful. I think that's just assuming their future instead of going off of what we already have. Those two guys are not the only two players on this list that I have a problem with. There are two other guys on this list that I kind of have a problem with. You'll know what I mean in just a second. The next quarterback on this list that I have a problem with is Lamar Jackson. I truly don't think I would take Lamar Jackson over Dak Prescott. You can scream at me all you want. I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for that, but I'm taking Dak over Lamar 10 times out of 10. I think it's safe to say that both of these guys are elite, but I'm certainly taking Dak's style of elite play over Lamar's. I don't think Lamar's running style of elite football play is going to last all that long. Whereas with Dak Prescott, I think it's safe to say that he's getting to the level of elite passer. I think with that being said, I'm taking Dak Prescott, who is an elite passer, over Lamar Jackson, who's an elite runner at the end of the day. So hate me all you want. I could go more into depth about it if I really wanted to, but I just don't want to. I'm taking Dak over Lamar. Live with it. And the last guy on this list that I think I have a problem with, I somewhat have a problem with, it's where I was talking about with the kind of. That quarterback is Tom Brady. Now, I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about this. I think I would take Dak Prescott over Tom Brady at this point in both of their careers, just because Tom Brady, I think, needs a lot of help around him. Understandably, the dude's 43 years old. I just think when you're looking at them individually, Dak Prescott is just younger. He's more talented at this point in his career. I think Tom Brady brings like that leadership aspect to your team. He's a very smart football player, but I just think he needs so much help around him that you really wouldn't be able to have success with him unless that help was there. there. I think you can take less help with Dak Prescott and have more success. But it's ultimately just a toss-up, to be quite honest. I think I would take Dak over Tom, but I could certainly see the argument of seeing Tom over Dak at this point. But still, like I said, it's a kind of scenario. It's just a toss-up. I'm not too hard-pressed about either one. Oh yeah, I get you're a Josh Allen fan, Fantasy Football AZ, but you missed big time with this list. I hate to break it to you. Final TikTok that I will be talking about comes from a creator by the name of Bladen K. This was not his original take. I don't know who started this trend on TikTok where everybody is slandering the guy that we're going to be talking about in just one moment, but it's become quite the trend on TikTok, and I don't know where it came from. I just chose Bladen K's video because he's one of the very many people that believe this. Anyway, just check it out.
So there's a lot of discussion as to whether or not Mike Evans is a top 10 receiver. I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't think he is. And here's my biggest problem. Of receivers that I would consider top 10, is he more talented or more capable than anyone on this list other than just being bigger and stronger than people? Like, Mike Evans isn't a better route runner than anyone on this list. A lot of guys on this list are very skillful receivers who can create in a lot of different ways. Mike Evans feels like he's just trying to overpower and bully people. And that's fine if it works. I just want a receiver who can create in a variety of different ways. Again, when I watch his film, it's just him shoving DBs out of the way and then running by them. Works for the most part. I can't hate, but elite corners can hang with him pretty easily.
Right off the bat, we got the bullshit that I was literally just talking about a moment ago. Bladen K has Justin Jefferson at his number 10 spot over Mike Evans. Why? I don't know. I actually do know. He goes on to explain it. I just disagree. I just don't understand the concept of putting a guy that only has one good year under his belt over a guy like Mike Evans who has multiple fantastic years under his belt. I don't understand that concept. So obviously this list is already invalidated in my opinion because I'm putting Mike Evans at least at 10 in replacement of Justin Jefferson. Like, that's a no-brainer in my eyes. The other guy that I'm replacing for Mike Evans on Bladen K's list is Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper's more in like the 11 to 13 range of wide receivers. I think he's right on the border of top 10, but I don't think he's in the top 10 over Mike Evans. Although Amari Cooper is very good after the catch, and he's arguably one of the best route runners in the NFL, Mike Evans has a lethal combination of abilities that make him the elite wide receiver that he is in today's NFL. He has an ability to get very physical at the top of his routes. He can easily get separation behind defenders, which is pretty surprising for a guy his size, along with his great hands, which I've come to realize are pretty underrated, at least in the TikTok community, because they all think his hands are apparently bad. I think Mike Evans has some of the best hands in the NFL. All of these reasons are why I have Mike Evans not only above Amari Cooper, but in the top 10 period. Like, I just don't get how you cannot have Mike Evans in the top 10. Bladen K further goes on to say that Mike Evans is not creative when it comes to creating separation. He can only get separation in one way, and that's just going right at a cornerback, right at a defensive back, and kind of pushing him out of the way. And if that's what works for Mike Evans, that's what works. I'm not sure why you're going to knock Mike Evans' ability to get separation. Like, that's how he plays football. I just don't understand why his ability to get separation is discounted because he doesn't do it with his route running. He just does it with his physicality. I just don't understand why that's a bad thing. If it works, and he does it pretty damn well. He's one of the most consistent wide receivers that we have in the NFL today. Not to mention that Mike Evans is one of the best at high pointing balls. He's one of the best contested ball catchers in the NFL, as well as he's one of the best red zone targets in the NFL. I think he's easily in the top 3 for red zone targets. This dude is a touchdown machine. So I just don't understand it, man. I truly don't get why people don't think Mike Evans is a top 10 talent in this league. For all those reasons I just mentioned, I think he's absolutely hands down a top 10 wide receiver. And I think if you ask anybody outside of the TikTok community, they would agree with that. TikTok is just a very weird place. Like I said, Bladen K is not the first person to have this opinion. He's just one of many people to think that Mike Evans is not a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I'm not sure where it started. I'm not sure who the creator of this Mike Evans slander is, but whoever started it must have done a pretty damn good job at making a dumb argument sound pretty damn logical, because a lot of people hopped on this bandwagon pretty freaking fast. So yeah, those are the 3 takes that I decided to include in today's video. There are plenty more on TikTok that I can easily go and find. I'm probably going to make a part 3 with that being said, because there is just way too many awful takes on this freaking app. Just like I said at the start of the video, I do not mean any hate or any disrespect toward any of these creators. It's just me disagreeing with their takes. It doesn't get any deeper than that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave any thoughts you might have down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, and I hope you did, please like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload, I'd appreciate that. If you're not over to Twitter, follow me over there. I'd appreciate that as well. I'm a part of the built-in Buffalo content creation team. Be sure to go follow and subscribe to us on any social medias that you might have, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.